On this episode of Exactly How, we're going to show you exactly how to make verbal offers that lead to deals, how to structure seller finance land deals, and how to get into real estate without using any of your own cash or credit on this episode of Exactly How.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Connected Investors podcast and YouTube show, Exactly How. During this episode, you'll discover exactly how to finance raw land with creative financing. For those of you who are new, my name is Ross Hamilton, today's host and CEO of ConnectedInvestors.com. Today, we have the privilege to learn from a woman who hosts some of the biggest events with hundreds of people out in Knoxville, Tennessee, helping real estate investors get to their next level. Prior to her career in real estate, she worked as a safety coordinator at her mom's dump truck company before going full-time into real estate. Now she owns a dump truck company, is one of her 10 LLCs, and she's been diving into real estate and hasn't looked back ever since. I would describe our guest as a massive action taker. And today I'd like to introduce you to the one and only Whitney Nicely. Whitney, thank you so very much for jumping on the line with us.
Thanks, Ross. This is going to be awesome. And I want to let you know that I just bought the Knoxville RIA. So I've added to my 10 LLCs.
Great. There you go. Another a tax time. It's a lot of fun. Have to file all of those, all that paperwork.
That's what I pay somebody for.
Yeah, I'm sure your accountant loves you. So, dump truck company.
Yes. So honestly, my great-grandfather started a dump truck company in 1939, and we've just passed it on. I'm the fourth generation. Most companies don't last through two, much less three generations, but we're on our fourth generation. And I one day decided, you know what, real estate sounds like more fun because it costs the same as a dump truck, but somebody's not driving it around on the road. So I started getting into real estate, and then I came back into trucking last year as a woman-owned truck company so that we can get government contracts. And it's just amazing. I talk a lot about my mom because she is my biggest inspiration and my number one competition in real estate and trucking.
Oh man. Well, it's crazy. You started in the dumps at a dump truck company. If anyone here who's familiar with my story, my first job was a dumpster diver. So I used to jump into some of the dumps and pull out scrap pad and recycle it. And then I'm like, there's got to be a better way.
There's got to be
a better way. Found real estate, and now, now here we are today. So, guys, everyone that's on the line here, before we dive into exactly how to creatively finance land, Whitney, you contribute a lot of your success to your decision to ask yourself in 5 years, will I regret not taking this opportunity? So kind of walk me through why you think that's played such a big role in your success.
I think that really pulls you through the rough moments. Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Not just, I'm scared to death and don't know what I'm doing right now. We all go through that. But do you want to look back in 5 years and say, man, what could have been? And that really pulls me through those valleys that we all go through. And I don't want to get to 5 years from now or 50 years from now and say, I could have helped more people. I could have done more deals, or I could have talked on more shows, or who did I leave out by holding myself back? And I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, really. When you read or watch any of the inspirational videos out there on YouTube, you hear people talking about on their deathbed, they're usually the things they regret most are the things they didn't do, the things that they didn't say. And on the last show, I said something that kind of, I surprised myself. I said, you will fail your way to success, right? Every successful person has a trail of failure behind them, but they look at it as learning experiences, not as failing. So it's great just to get in there, not be scared, and make it happen. So thanks for sharing that with us.
One of my favorite failures, actually, we're talking about raw land here. I bought some land at a tax sale one time, and I have a little bit of dyslexia sometimes. And when I was looking up the parcel ID, I changed a 1 for a 7. I thought I was buying 15 acres overlooking the lake. What I ended up buying for $500 was 3 acres under Douglas Lake. There's only one piece of property in the whole state of Tennessee that has no grass, no trees, no nothing on it, completely underwater, and I own it.
That's yours. Congratulations. There you go. There you
go.
You know, actually, I read this article about people who have dyslexia. They actually become entrepreneurs at a higher rate than people who don't, because at a young age, their brain has to figure out how to fill in the blanks that they can't quite see. So that's interesting that you.
I've never been tested for it, but I make those mistakes more frequently than other people do, I think.
my B's and D's were always the wrong way. I just couldn't quite get it.
Yep.
Well, great. Yeah. Well, for everyone who's new here, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast unique is every show comes with a detailed action plan. We're going to pull all the steps out of Whitney's head here and give you a blueprint on exactly how you can implement exactly what we're covering. So if you're watching this, you have any questions, make sure to throw it in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, YouTube is where I would prefer that everyone watches this, because we have a lot of notes in the description. If you open up the description, and we coordinate back and forth and ask a lot of questions, even update our blueprint that we have at exactlyhow.com from the questions that we get on YouTube. So please go ahead and make sure you're watching this on YouTube and your podcast, all of that. In addition, when you go to exactlyhow.com, we have a free gift we're going to give you there today that Whitney has generously decided that all of you deserve, even though she doesn't know you yet. And you can also throw your name into the drawing to win a $3,000 software that we sell called PIN. It is literally the pre-MLS, gives you access to every deal that you're looking for as a real estate investor. All of the vacant properties, all of the probates, all of the motivated sellers with any type of motivation can be found in this one beautiful, easy to use software. And you can throw your name into the hat to win it right now at exactlyhow.com. We're actually going to announce the winner here shortly. So what I'm trying to say is go to exactlyhow.com. There's a lot of great stuff for you there. So before we jump into all of the steps here, Whitney, can you just define for anyone who's brand new what seller financing means?
So seller financing could also be owner financing. There's not really much of a difference, just depends on where you are. But owner financing, seller financing is when the seller, when the old owner becomes the bank. They move into the bank position and they finance you the deal. So you don't have to go to the bank. This is where you're probably not going to get your credit checked. You don't need a whole bunch of money. You don't have to give all this paperwork and your firstborn child or your number one dog. You just let the seller finance you the property.
Gotcha. So basically you just work out a deal.
We work out a deal, and we've only had proper mortgages like we know them for a little more than 100 years. So we've been around for a lot longer than that, and people were mostly either paying cash or trading in donkeys and chickens, or they were getting owner financed.
Great. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that get started that don't have cash, don't have credit, such as myself, started with creative owner financing deals. There's no excuse here. You don't have to have money. You don't have to have credit. And the reason that I wanted to bring Whitney on here and specifically talk about land is because there is a gold rush for land that's happening right now. A lot of the fix and flippers who don't have access to the software that we give away, they can't find deals. A lot of these big hedge funds that are coming in are looking for deals and they can't find them. So they're buying raw land and building. So right now is really the time to be going out there and buying up land. It's easier to sell than ever. There's more buyers than ever. And we're going to show you how to get it today, even if you don't have any of your own cash or credit, in 3 simple steps. So Whitney, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Before we hit the record button here, we kind of high level broke down the 3 main steps we're going to be talking about today into the verbal agreement, the contract, and paying off the contract, executing. So at exactlyhow.com, you're actually giving kind of a full breakdown, the full 10 steps that you can go ahead and download. So make sure to visit exactlyhow.com and get that step. But I think this is going to provide the most value for our members. And I liked how you broke down step 1 is the verbal agreement. Can you go ahead and tell me why you thought that was the most important part of getting started in this?
Well, you have to know where you want to go, and we can talk this through and we can make lots of offers and we can just kind of be a person and listen to each other in a conversation. And when you get to that verbal agreement, that's super important. That's our first it's not even binding, but that's our first mental agreement together. And once we've crossed that barrier, it's easier to take it to the written contract. If you just start with a written contract and we haven't even verbally agreed to anything, then it's a bigger mountain to climb over. So I want you to get really comfortable making lots of offers and then going to the contract. I usually help ladies get deals done. And so a lot of them are super nervous to make a verbal offer. Well, a verbal offer is non-binding. You can still pull your woman card and change your mind. You can renegotiate, and your seller can say, well, I don't really like that part. What about this? But you haven't wasted any paper yet.
Yeah, so this is really a green initiative here, everyone. We want to make sure that you're not wasting all that paper on contracts that are never going to be executed. And Whitney, this is really important, because a lot of times when I'm working a deal with someone, we'll talk it through, and then I'll send them an email with, hey, this is kind of what I heard. I'm going to write up an offer that, ties into all of this. And then when this person gets the offer, if you just get a random contract from a random person, it's kind of like, whoa, what do I do? Right?
We've all had, even outside of real estate, a cold call or a cold email. And a lot of times those just fall super flat because I don't have a relationship with you. I don't know you. You and I got to hang out last month. So when you said, let's do a podcast, I was like, yeah, let's totally hang out again, because we already have that person-to-person relationship. And it's so much easier when you're going to a contract with somebody, you're going into business with them. If you already have something to talk about, you already have some common interest. And whether this deal goes through or whether you take on the next 7 deals that they have, you have something that you've based this relationship on, and they know you're a person. And that comes from the verbal agreement, not the written agreement.
Gotcha. So let's have a little fun here on a verbal agreement. Like, so let's say I owned some land and you called me. Can you do like a little roll call with me on how you might try to find out what the person's hot buttons are, right? Because that's really what you're looking for in the verbal side of it, right?
I'm looking for somebody usually on raw land that they've inherited it, so they don't have any money invested in it anyway. Maybe they know that dad paid $200,000 for it in 06, 07, but they realize that it's not worth that now. But what's really amazing is if it's 2 siblings and they've inherited it and they've got to split whatever they make, and this is their inheritance that their dad left them. So they're trying to get as much as they can, but I'm trying to buy it for a little bit. But I know if I pay them over time, I can give them more, closer to what their dad paid for it originally.
Gotcha. So you might ask them, hey, do you ask them how much do they want for the property if they can get all cash? I mean, how does your conversation kind of go with these people?
I like to make sure that they own the property. I like to make sure.
I have bought the property from someone who didn't own it. I bought a property from someone who didn't own it, by the way. And I had title insurance. It was a fraud issue, so I got all my money back. But that is a good first step to make sure they own it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking to people that have inherited it, because sometimes you may be talking to the executor. Sometimes you're talking to an angry sibling. So you want to make sure you're talking to the right person, or you can get in contact with the right person. I also want to know what are they experiencing in life? Has dad been gone for a long time and they're not as attached to it anymore? Or are they still dealing with some emotional strings attached to this land? Mm-hmm. And that, again, goes back to being a person and listening to them. I don't like land that is listed because those agents want to be paid and I want to pay over time. And usually with land, it's paid off. There's not a mortgage attached to it, but I don't want anybody that's behind on anything.
Gotcha. So you're looking for someone who inherited a property primarily, someone who might be a little bit behind on taxes and lives out of town.
Yep, that would work too.
Something like that. What are some other hot lead sources that you've found for land?
We've bought some raw land from a gentleman here in Knoxville, and I say we because my mom has done these owner financing on land deals, and I've just helped her because my mom kind of understood seller financing, but not the way I actually understood the step-by-steps, right? So she let me help her structure these deals. And there's a gentleman that used to own a whole lot of real estate, and he's kind of sold it off through the years. Well, he was left with this land, and he didn't know what to do with it. So we said, hey, this is great. It's right next to some of our land. It already, touches. So we'll start sending you some money every month. And he loved that because he was going to let his granddaughter have it. But instead of leaving her with this chunk that wouldn't move, he's going to be able to give her payments. And so he's really set up that payment structure, that generational wealth that a lot of people are looking for. And he already knew us, and he was fine with not getting a low cash offer because he wanted more, and he was willing to take it over time. And he was an older gentleman. Our time could have run out on him, but we got him paid off, and he's good to go now.
Yeah, I like what you said there. Can we send you money every month?
Yeah.
Hey, I see you have some raw land there. Can I just send you money every month for that
Yep.
property?
Yep.
What do you mean? Well, I'd like to pay you, whatever you want. I mean, so just when you're going through the verbal agreement, are you talking about terms? Are you talking about interest rates? Are you talking about down payments? I mean, there's certain levers there. Kind of talk me through what you talk about.
I don't want to confuse anybody. So especially new people that are just getting started into real estate, they learn a lot. They've been to a seminar and they just want to word vomit that out everywhere and teach everybody many real estate seminars, but nobody signed up for that. So I want you to use words that people will understand. If I said, can I send you money every month? I think a third grader would pretty much understand that.
Yeah.
So I don't get really in depth on the first couple calls because they're not ready for it. And honestly, I don't want to give them a down payment, and I don't want to give them interest. I would rather give them closer to their asking price.
Gotcha.
Because then every month I am coming off that purchase price when I make that payment. That's a great
tip. Few great tips there. I just want to highlight. Use very easy language anyone can understand. Can I send you money every month? Don't bring up things like down payment or interest rate. Definitely not in the beginning. You're starting to negotiate there. And it's nice when you don't have an interest rate, because every time you make that payment, some of my biggest deals were, the most profitable deals I ever did were land deals, seller financed, principal only payment. And it was just, and I made it so the payments didn't even start for about a year. I said, hey, I'm going to develop this land out. I can start paying you once I have an approved subdivision. And they're like, okay. So basically I had no payments for a year.
And people will go for that because there's no risk on them. It's you're out of pocket to take it through the planning commission and get the engineers and the survey. That's all you. They have nothing at risk here.
Mm-hmm. All right,
it's
good.
grass.
Yeah, so you're keeping the initial conversation high level, just kind of trying to understand who they are as a person, really, making sure that they want to take money every month for it. And, they seem like the right type of person for you to do business with. Now you're moving into step 2, getting it under contract. So
yes, and
what does that look like?
This is usually where those other questions come up about down payments and interest. And if they ask for it, I'll push back and say, I'm already giving you basically what you're asking for it. Are you trying to be greedy and get more money? Nobody else even offered you what I was offering you. Work with me here a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
You're getting what you want. Why take more? I'm getting what I want, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. Okay. So the contract itself, is that something you're doing, or do you kind of have them just go to the attorney's office? Or
I always like to do the contract myself, and then I'll meet them at the attorney's office, or like the gentleman that had been a real estate investor for years, he'd been a landlord. He's okay to go close by himself because he doesn't want to have to fool with meeting you at the certain time and this and that and the other. But other people, if they're nervous, then I'll be there with them to make sure that everything's cool.
Nice. Any other advice? Oh, go ahead.
The written contract is really just a chance for the conversation to continue. I don't want it to be this great buildup where you're sick to your stomach thinking, oh, I got to write this contract now. No, we're just filling in some blanks on a piece of paper. My papa told me that paper lay there and let you write whatever you want to on it. You can even print off a new one if you mess up.
There you go. I'm actually going to, I made a weird observation here. You own a dump truck company and a lot of raw land. I'm just saying, I'm not going to push back on you too hard. It sounds like
my mom has a lot of track hose. We know how to use them very effectively.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting combination. So it's anything else you want to talk you need to tell people about the contract phase of this, other than it's not the end of the world. It's kind of easy.
Also, the contract is written by attorneys and for attorneys. So you really want to break it down and speak it through, summarize. This paragraph says this paragraph says this. These 3 paragraphs basically say this. And yes, you can read it, and I'll sit here and I'll be quiet. I'll answer any questions you have, but it really just says this.
Yeah,
and if you can really help people understand this, they don't have to be an attorney. They just need it summarized and feel good and comfortable with you.
Yeah. And no matter what I'm sending someone a contract, I don't like to just send them a contract and say, call me. I say, hey, let's get on the phone. You're on the phone? Hey, I'm sending you the contract. Let's open it up.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be nerve-wracking.
They'll read something and completely wrong, and you can squash that right there. So that's another really good tip. If you're sending someone a contract, get them on the phone first and then send them the contract and go over it with them. Absolutely.
Every single time. And pause. Because if they've got a question, if you rush through it and they got a question on number 3 and you don't ask for questions until 27, you lost them through all those others. Pause. Does this make sense? Are you okay? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, don't take 3 hours to go through it, but make sure that they're good.
Yeah. And, if we're talking about some sort of seller financing, the contracts there, I mean, there's notes. Do you have like your payment schedule attached to that, or?
It's right there, and
that can get really thick sometimes depending on how you do it.
And if you can keep it as simple as possible, people appreciate that. Yeah. If you can highlight, I told you I was going to pay you this, here's where it says I'm going to pay you that, and I'm going to send it here, they go, okay, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, let's talk about paying off the contract.
Yes, do what you say you're going to do. People always want to say, well, what if something happens and you don't do it? Well, keep your word. That's how you're going to stay in business since 1939. Do what you say you're going to do.
Anyone who you have trouble with, you can just throw them in the back of the dump truck. So
no, anyway, Ross, we don't do that.
Okay, that's right. All right, so
just old boyfriends. No.
Yeah. Someone is riding in the back of that dump truck. Okay. So paying off the contract. Pay
it off, and especially if you get it amortized over 30 years, you get 360 months to pay this thing off. Even if you agree to balloon it in 15 years. If you do it in 10 years, these sellers are going to think you're a superhero. But if you promise to do it in 10 and you can't, you got to push to 15, now you got just a little bit more friction in the deal. So I try to get as long of a term as I can with as small of a payment as I can. And then it's on me to hustle and impress these people because they have friends and they have coworkers and they have people they go to church with and they're on Facebook with you. And there's no secrets in real estate. So if you really take care of your sellers, you won't have to send out mailers for the rest of your life. You'll have word of mouth and you'll have a strong reputation backing you up. Do what you say you're going to do and go that extra mile to take care of your people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what I've always done in this step is I have a really awesome tip for you guys here. And Whitney was probably about to bring this up. But actually, before I do, I need to announce the winner of the software, which allows you to find vacant property with people who have inherited the property. You can actually implement this strategy today with this plan. And you even get all the contracts you need. So the winner of today's contest. Before we move on, here's a word from our sponsor.
Looking for a private money partner to fund your flips or rentals? Go direct to the source. PrivateLenders.com, a free marketplace that instantly matches you with up to 5 private money lenders to save thousands by having non-bank lenders compete to be your funding partner. PrivateLenders.com.
Is Susie Walters. Congratulations. I'll be reaching out to you personally, get you all set up with your new software, a $3,000 value. Thank you so much for interacting with us, for commenting, for liking the stuff that we do, and just being an all-around great person, Susie. So thanks so much. All right. So something I've done with my properties that I've seller financed like this is every so often I call them up and ask them if they just want to settle. If I owe someone $100,000, I'll be like, I have $50,000. Can I just give you $50,000 right now? And we just call it even. And they'll say, no, I want my full 100. I'm like, that's fine. But listen, if you ever need a large sum of money, just go ahead and come to me. We'll work something out. And I've had one person out of several dozen actually take it. People love the payments every month. You'd think someone would just want the money. But that one person, I mean, they needed money for something, and I stroked them a check, and we basically called it even.
And just because people are in one life situation right now and they've agreed to 10 or 15 or 30 years or whatever it is, doesn't mean that things are going to change in their life. And in 3 or 8 years, they're going to call and say, hey, something's different. I got to do this, that, and the other. Just give me X amount so I can go do that. You're absolutely exactly right. That's brilliant.
Yeah. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of bring that tip up there. There have been a lot of golden nuggets of information here. You're going to want to watch this and rewatch it again. Remember, you can go on YouTube. On YouTube, in the description of the video, we have a lot of really good information there. And make sure to go ahead and comment, share this with some people that you know. I'm really excited about this episode. Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to paying off the contract?
I think we covered it. That was a great tip you threw in there. And just really take care of your people because they'll take care of you.
Yeah, exactly. And I have so many stories. Like when you've been seller financing like land from people for so long, you start to like get to know these people a little bit. And I did a land deal. I'll just touch on it real quick, to where they did a principal only payment and a substitution of collateral. So the note that I was paying them off for the land wasn't even secured by their land. It was secured by another piece of land I had, because I needed that piece of land to be free and clear for me to go get financing from the bank. And because I had such a good track record with this person of paying, and we liked each other, she signed the substitution of collateral forms for me, and I was able to go ahead and get the traditional financing I needed to develop out the land. So it's so great when you work with people, because you can be so flexible. You might be thinking, what is all of this? And all it really is just understanding there's so much flexibility when you're dealing with seller financing, and also understand there's no reason that every Tom, Dick, and Harry should not be trying to get in on deals like this. I mean, real estate is the place to be. And right now is a really exciting time. And if you can seller finance deals, it's really a win-win.
It totally is. And if you find somebody and they seller finance one deal, there's a good chance they have others. Mm-hmm. And if you treat them right the first time, they'll let you have the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you one of the most important questions here. Whitney, what do you think your life would be like if you never got into real estate?
I would be running a women in trucking seminar instead of a women in real estate seminar. And I would be wearing steel-toed boots every day instead of my pretty lily dresses. And I would be looking for some sort of way to branch out of the family business.
What was that movie? Over the Top, with the guy from Rocky, where he was a trucker, and he was constantly working out in his truck. You'd be driving those dump trucks, taking care of problems.
Fun fact, you don't need a license to buy houses, and you don't need a license to buy dump trucks, because I don't have a license to buy dump trucks. I can't drive those things. Now, I do have a license. I am a real estate broker, but I don't do that.
Okay, yeah, we won't hold that against you. We're going to get into the rapid fire part of this podcast. Are you ready, Whitney?
Yes, sir.
All right. On a scale from 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
Very. 10.
Get up early or stay up late?
Early.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
8.
Favorite or most recent book that you read?
Sum It Up by Pat Summitt.
Interesting last name for that book. I like that.
She is amazing. I didn't realize how amazing she was until I listened to that book.
Awesome. If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Wonder Woman.
What is something everyone should do less of?
Complain.
What is something everyone should do more of?
Smile.
There you go. Bitcoin, bang or bust?
Bust.
And will people visit Mars in your lifetime?
No.
No. All right. We have you on record here. We're going to tell Elon Musk that he is not going to be successful within your lifetime.
Tell him I want one of those cars so bad I can't hardly stand it.
Hey man, those things pretty much drive themselves now.
I keep buying businesses or houses, and I forget to buy a car.
I actually just did a whole speech on how important it is not to buy cars. So
There's so many things to buy.
Yeah, you're doing good. I want everyone to put their money in things that make you money. I finally bought my dream car once I was able to buy it at auction for half price, because now I'll drive it and I'll sell it for around what I bought it for. And there you go. So you got to hustle no matter what you're buying. If it's costing you, costing you money, you got to get a deal. Retail is for suckers, right?
That's right, for sure.
All right. Well, hey, Whitney, thank you so very much for spending the time with us today.
Thanks for having me, Ross. This is awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And for everyone who is still with us, you made it to the end of the show. Congratulations. Most people don't finish what they start, but you found a lot of value here. So make sure to comment. Let us know what you learned. Let us know some other show topics you want to talk about. If you have any questions for us, go ahead and comment it. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and subscribe. Follow our podcast. Just search Exactly How. And when you go to exactlyhow.com, go pick up your free gifts that kind of break down financing, land, and everything we talked about in more detail. And the cool thing is, you can actually go through all of our past shows, dozens, and go grab all the free gifts. I mean, it's just like a little goodie bag hack. You can just go through them all and just grab them all. So thank you so very much for being here and engaging with us. I'll talk to you on the next Exactly How.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.